You're watching Business Edge on New Central Television. Before we x-ray the commodities outlook for the year 2024, let's quickly bring you this, and it's very, very important, most especially for Nigeria, and that is about the EFCC probing deeply into FX allocations in Nigeria. And according to reports, the opaque foreign exchange allocation mechanism, which characterized the nation's previous forex regimes, has now come to the front burner. Recently, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, wrote to over 80 companies, directing them to supply documents supporting the allocation and utilization of foreign currencies to them in the last 10 years. Now, New Central's Perpetua Fasanmi-Peters spoke to a market participant on this and filed in this report.
Over the past decade, Nigerians have continued to express fears that the nation's forex allocation process is fraught with favoritism. Many believe favored Nigerians and their foreign collaborators benefit massively from this.
While some companies are getting access to forex, most companies are not getting forex to transact their daily businesses. And it's been one story after the other. To some, it's been that there's round tripping. Some are collecting this dollar, even directly from CBN, which is not supposed to be, and are selling it to the black market without using it for any business purpose. To some, they are collecting forex, presenting documents that are relevant for the collection of forex, but at the end of the exercise, they are not using the forex also. They are using it for other purposes, particularly selling it. We also have another group of organizations that collect far more than the forex they need for their business transaction, for their import purposes. And when they get more of these currencies, they also end up selling it to the black market.
Sadly, the implication of such favoritism, if any, is better imagined.
The effects have been monumental, negatively monumental. First is that investors lose confidence in the country. The other to it is that companies will continue to close shops as they are doing now. A lot of big corporate conglomerates have left the shores of the country. It begins to now cause unnecessary inflation. Inflation that could have been curbed are being allowed to go on and on and on with this round tripping going around the forex market.
Just like many Nigerians, Dr. Egde hopes the recent move by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission will yield the needed result.
If we have unavailability of forex, the little we have should be able to go around to all of those that need it. Not that a very few select ones will have access to it, and the majority will continue to suffer at the detriment of all of us who are citizens of this country. And that's not how an economy of the country can grow. It should be nipped in the bud. I am happy that some of us have been shouting about this over time and time again, and we are bringing it up now. And we're also seeing some agencies of government going around to see if truly this is happening. And perhaps we are looking forward to a time where serious punitive measures will be meted out to those who are carrying out this crime against all of us in Nigeria.
Over the years, Nigeria has been an import-dependent economy with a growing demand for foreign exchange. The scarcity of this, coupled with the now collapsed multiple exchange rates and the opaque nature of forex allocation, has ensured that favored customers of banks could access the greenback at the official rate at any time, leaving others scrambling and the economy gasping for breath. Recent efforts to shine a light on this murky system could serve as a powerful deterrent, signaling a potential shift towards a more transparent and equitable playing field. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Perpetua Fasanmi-Peters.
And sequel to that, operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission last week also visited the headquarters of the Dangote Group in connection with ongoing investigation into forex allocations in the country. To help us make sense of this, Femi Oladehin, senior partner, Argentil Capital Partners, joins me on the show. Thank you so much, Oladehin, for talking to us at this time.
Hi, good morning. Good to be here.
Now, foreign exchange allocations in Nigeria involve the appropriation of forex for various purposes within the country, and it is legal, including the Central Bank of Nigeria is the one mandated to manage the processes and activities on the market, ensuring that allocations are in line with the country's goals. So to start with, what are the criteria for obtaining forex, either as an individual or a business entity, and why is it now? Why is it that now it seems as though we are hearing reports of infractions by companies in Nigeria when it comes to accessing forex?
So the process for obtaining forex is basically people who need forex would approach their banks with specific documentation. Now, it depends on what you need the forex for. So if it's for imports, you would fill it from M. If it's for invisible trade, you will fill it from A. And all of these would then go to the central bank, and the central bank would, through an approval system, approve who is, supposed to get or who is qualified to receive FX. Now, one of the things we have to understand is that the system that Nigeria runs of allocating FX in itself is quite unusual. It's not exactly global practice, where the central bank is the one that allocates forex to business users. And it appears that the fact that we've lumbered this responsibility on the central bank has created this opportunity for significant loopholes and opaqueness in the process. Look, what happened in the last 8 years, probably longer than that, depending on how long we're able to investigate, has been at a minimum the most criminal, misuse of public funds that we've ever seen in the history of the country. And a lot of that is just simply due to the opaqueness of the process. If in the past, when we used to have the Dutch auction system, it was easier because you had to leave trade, go at auction, and if you won the bid, then you got your FX. The moment it became this arbitrary process where the central bank was the one who was the judge and arbiter in its own case, it was obviously open to abuse. And that's what we saw in the last 8 years.
So invariably, it means that when we look at the rates as it happens Nigeria, or as it happened in Nigeria, it's as a result of the CBN's negligence. And in some cases, it's been over 8 to 10 years that we've had companies get involved in situations like this. But then if we are going to scale it down to just about last week when the Dangote Group was investigated. Of course, they went to the headquarters, that is the EFCC officials, to obtain information as regards forex allocation to that particular company. So in the likes of that, how do you think this would impact forex allocation to other companies moving forward? Looking that we have companies who, of course, go around the back to have access to this when it should actually follow due process.
So look, I mean, like I said earlier on, the biggest problem we had was the opaqueness of the process in itself. So if you had a situation where people who needed forex were able to go to an open market and bid, and then that immediately eliminates the possibility of somebody circumventing or short-circuiting the market. What we had under Governor Emefiele was simply a process that allowed individuals and corporates abuse relationships or overextend their relationships and benefit significantly from it. Now, the second dilemma that we had in the last 8 years was that significant delta between the street price of the Naira and the official exchange rate, which left significant rooms for arbitrage. I mean, we at some point had almost a 70 to 80% differential. The Naira was selling at 750 on the streets and was selling at 400 Naira thereabout at the official market. That in itself creates an arbitrage opportunity for anyone who's looking for access to the dollars. Now, what we have in the market today is slightly different. We now have the INE window, which is the official window of the central bank or the official window of the market. And anyone who wants to access the dollars has to effectively go and bid in that INE window. And if you're able to get at whatever price that you want to get, then you're fine. So the truth is that market transparency is in itself what is important in a market like ours, where even pricing is being determined significantly by the central bank. And until we get to a point where market transparency is unquestionable, then you are always going to have the kind of arbitrage that we had during the Emefiele time as CBN governor. And I think that isn't good for anyone.
So how does this also impact investors who might be willing to also enter the Nigerian market? Earlier on, we watched a report where our guest talked about investors not having confidence when we have situations like this happen. And of course, in some situations, some companies might be forced to fold up. So what are the wider implications of this if it continues?
Oh, they're significant. Look, you would also see that in the last 8 years of the Buhari regime, and even the first 6 months of this current regime, and we've seen foreign direct investment flows shrink. I mean, probably shrink is not even the right word, it's collapse. And the reason why this has happened is because people lost confidence in the market. The market always played on a willing buyer, willing seller approach prior to these last 8 years. And once that market collapsed, it became one where your relationship determined whether you got dollars or not. And that is not something that foreign investors like. Yeah, when there's volatility in your market, that's okay. Foreign investors can hedge against it. But when it is not, when the rules of exchange or the rules of engagement are not clear, and that in itself is a deterrent. And we've seen the impact on companies pulling out of the market from GSK, especially in the healthcare space. People who have pulled out. We've also seen it, especially in the investment banking space, where private equity firms have stopped investing in Nigeria simply because the rules of taking their money out are not as transparent as it should be. So this has done significant damage to the economy. And again, the fact that EFCC is raiding corporates is also not good again for just for perception as the government overhang. And I think the EFCC could have been a bit more professional in having invited the Dangote officials to their offices, getting a full raid on perhaps the largest conglomerate in the country isn't exactly one that's going to instill confidence in anyone looking to invest in Nigeria.
Well, according to what we know, we understood that these officials, of course, did have an encounter with the EFCC operatives at their office, but EFCC said they were not too satisfied with the information they brought forward in terms of the documents requested from them, and they had to go to the office to get the detailed information that was required to engage or to help fuel this investigation. And that was why they did what they did, though that's not an excuse anyway. So moving forward, now, could this investigation lead to changes in Nigeria's forex allocation? Probably we look at policies and regulations, or how do you think that these can be nipped so that we can have a robust and a healthy financial system, market system, even as we move forward?
So the CBN has taken the first step, which is making the INE window the official window for the market. And I think that's quite positive. It means that there is a transparent market wherein you could trade Forex. So that's step one. Step two, as we know, is that the market itself is dysfunctional in the sense that supply has shrunk significantly. So the wide swings that you see in currency performance is something that has been a problem, where in a trading day, the Naira can swing as much as 500 Naira. I don't think that is sustainable. So we need to work on increasing the sources of FX that are flowing into the official market and making sure that that increase in Forex makes itself available to people who need it for genuine reasons. Now, ultimately, though, the plan has to be a completely deregulated and completely free and fair Forex market, where the central bank doesn't play any role whatsoever other than the lender of last resort to the FX market. So wherein a willing buyer and a willing seller can use a market-determined rate to close out on a transaction. And I think until we get there, we're still going to be open to possible abuse of the system, like we're seeing now. And that has to be our ultimate goal as a country, which is completely liberalize the market, allow market forces to determine the direction of the exchange rate, and the central bank only becoming the intervener of last resort, where you're trying to find some level of stability. And until we get there, honestly, we're still going to have significant challenges in the market.
Femi Oladehin, Senior Partner, Argentil Capital Partners, thank you so much for your contribution on the show.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So you're watching Business Edge. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we want to look at the commodities outlook for 2024. Of course, a lot has been happening on the global market. To talk about the Russia-Ukraine crisis, the Israel-Hamas crisis is still there, and what's happening on the Red Sea, of course, with Iran, the Houthis, and the U.S. battling it out for resource and for a commodity push in that particular area. We'll look at all that and what it portends for the year 2024.